It's right after COVID, and we're trying to figure out, should we try and help build on this momentum that the overland industry was having through COVID and after COVID, and do something in the Okanagan and bring the overland community and the Okanagan together. And that's really where everything started. It was about community. Great opportunity for people that are just getting started to get ideas, because some of us have gone one direction and then like a Jeep, and then they change to a Chevy. Directions can change. And you try stuff and they go, that didn't work out. And now I'm doing this. So there's a lot of experience that everybody that's there, no matter what their vehicle is, that they can help other people who are planning. That's the fun part. That's why everybody stands around all day in a parking lot, 30 plus degrees out, and thank God there's some food. And
almost bone stock vehicles and to stuff that should be on the floor at SEMA. There's a pretty far spread.
Warning. The 4x4 Canada podcast contains discussion about exploring mountains, camping beside lakes, and enjoying the outdoors. Guests also talk about jumping race trucks side by side, racing 1,000 horsepower rigs across mud pits, and jumping monster trucks over stacks of buses. None of this is for the faint of heart. The 4x4 Canada podcast is not responsible for bringing out your inner adrenaline junkie or making you want to get out there and explore the back roads from coast to coast. The 4x4 Canada podcast is not responsible for broken parts due to jumping your vehicle, hitting mud poles too hard, crossing deep streams, and doing other dumb shit. However, we will take credit for inspiring you to explore mountaintops, spend quality time outdoors with your friends, or meeting new like-minded people, and most importantly of all, following your dreams.
Welcome to the 4x4 Canada podcast. I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Trisha. And today we have VOC, the Vernon Overland Connect guys, with us.
Hi, and my name is Mike. I'm part of the Vernon Overland Connect team, also Okanagan Overlanding on Instagram.
Hi, my name is Alvin Slallert, also part of the VOC team, and then the owner of DF4 Overland.
And I'm Andrew Cutler, also a team member for the VOC, and I am known as Sia Off-Road.
Awesome, guys. I'm so excited to have you guys here. I'm so excited for this event. I guess we're going into our fourth year now? 4 years here. Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. And basically, Vernon Overland, what we're talking about is an event in Vernon, British Columbia, coming up on Saturday, June 7th. And there's recent name change to it, and now it's called the Vernon Overland Connect. And it's a new name, but it's not a new event. What is Vernon Overland Connect all about?
So I think I'll grab that one. So really we started it as Vernon Overland Meet and Greet, and it came about, I think Aubrey was finished putting all of his stuff on my Jeep or something like that. And it was right after COVID, and we're trying to figure out, should we try and help build on this momentum that the overland industry was having through COVID and after COVID, and do something in the Okanagan and bring the overland community and the Okanagan together. And that's really where everything started. It was about community. And when we get to the name change, that's tying all that in together. In the first year, we had it at 97 Customs. So Calvin, he was very eager to get involved as well. And we had his parking lot on a Saturday, and we pretty quickly realized it was pretty packed. We were pretty full on that one. And we knew after that event, we needed to look for something a little bit bigger. And yeah, it was a great event. People just hanging out, getting to know each other, meeting people that you know from Instagram. That it's like, now you actually meet them in person, which is a big thing in the overland industry, right? Going to events and meeting the vehicles that you drool over and the people that own them. We know them by their vehicles more than we know their actual names. So
that is so funny, because that is so true. I know so many people that's, hey, that's Just Jeeping Adventures. His name, Dwayne, that's what it is. Kind of idea, right? We all know each other by our vehicles more than our first names. It's funny that way. But yeah, you're right. The Vernon event, that's one thing I noticed. I've gone, this will be my third year, I guess. I missed the first year, but that's one of the things about this event is that I've always found it just nice and relaxing. I've been to other overland style events, and some of them are just bigger and not necessarily not better. And that's one thing about the Vernon event is it's a lot of fun to sit back, relax, and you've got guys coming from Alberta and all over the place. And it's just fun to sit back and relax and chit chat with people. And like you said, drool over the rigs or drool over the people or whatever you're into. And yeah, it's just a fun time. So one of the things that is new this year is everybody's welcome to come and check out the rigs and all the awesome gear and the vendors and that. But one of the things that's new this year is you're asking people to pre-register if they plan on displaying their overland rig.
Yeah, I could take this one, guys. Yeah, previous years, we obviously had continual growth. It's expanded quite fast over the few years. And so this year we want to be a little more organized. And so by doing that, we pre-register the vehicles. It gives us a bit of a sense of how big we're going to have the event. And it also helps with managing the space at the Vernon Toyota dealership too, right? We don't want to go and take over the entire place, but we also want to grow to a point where it's a successful event, right? These pre-registering your event or your vehicle helps with that, two, strategically placing vehicles in certain locations. And when you pre-register, you get a vehicle spec sheet that you get handed to you and you can put it in your vehicle. So by pre-registering, we give you a form, you fill it out, put all your modifications on there, your Instagram or your social media accounts, stuff like that. And then we put that in the window, and it's a bit of a conversation piece for people to just communicate with the people attending the event.
And that's actually one other thing too we should mention. I got two follow-ups to that. First one is this event is being held at Vernon Toyota, and these guys have been a huge supporter of your guys' event. This will be the third year, I believe, at that location, right?
Yes.
Whoops.
Yeah. And huge shout out to Vernon Toyota because they've been, a huge supporter of this event, and they clear off their whole used car parking lot for you guys to have your event.
That's actually why it was even more important to kind of register, because we've grown each year substantially. And to be able to, we walked the parking lot last night, Andrew, Rachel, and I, measuring out 20 by 20 spots, and to make sure that they have a good idea of how much space they need to clear. Because this year they actually have a lot of used vehicles, which in past years it's been quite thin. So they've either got a Jeep, they've got a Toyota, you got a red Jeep there, Tricia. All right. Waiting for you.
What group?
Yeah.
So the other question I got to follow up with that is there a charge to display your vehicle?
Nope, there's no charge at all. It's, to Andrew's point, it's really just about being a little bit more organized. We also are going to do a best in show. So anybody who comes and's wandering around, just like a car show, you can put a ballot in, vote for your favorite rig. It's just really important for us to get those final numbers. So we've put a deadline of getting vehicles registered by May 15th, which will really help us to plan that spacing out within the Toyota used parking space.
So what kind of vehicles can people to see there?
But in short, we'll see a mix of everything. There's no specific brands, there's no specific models, no specific size. Everybody's welcome to show all the rig, big or small. It's just all about finality and people showing all of their innovative ideas of their vehicles.
Yeah, and I think just to that point, being about the overland community, it's not everybody that's got like a 50 grand invested into their vehicle. We had a little meet and greet over at Capit the other day, a couple weeks ago, and there's a guy there in his Honda CRV. It's covered in more mud than I've had all year. He's got his fuel tanks. He's registered. He's going to be there. His buddy with his FJ, which it's a great opportunity for people that are just getting started to get ideas, because some of us have gone one direction and then like a Jeep, and then they change to a Chevy. Directions can change. You try stuff and they go, that didn't work out. And now I'm doing this. So there's a lot of experience that everybody that's there, no matter what their vehicle is, that they can help other people who are planning. That's the fun part. That's why everybody stands around all day in a parking lot, 30 plus degrees out. And thank God there's some food and fridges and stuff, right? Anybody can be there. Yeah.
You're going to see
Yeah.
almost bone stock vehicles and to stuff that should be on the floor at SEMA. There's a pretty far spread. One I'm looking forward to this year is I'm waiting to get confirmation, but we're going to see a 70 series Land Cruiser coming. Not yours, Aubrey. This one in the salmon arm, or it was actually that's coming out hopefully. So I actually just finished restoring it. It's going to look really nice.
That's one thing that with the last couple of events that I've noticed is a wide range. It's not just all Toyotas. There's a bunch of Tacomas in there, but there's also your typical JKUs and your Gladiators. But I'm sure Mike will have his electric Hummer there. Right? And last year, probably one of the highlights for myself was that young couple from Vernon that traveled from Vernon, British Columbia down to the tip of Argentina in their Land Cruiser. They're a young couple in their, and that to me, sitting there talking with them, and then eventually we got them on a podcast a couple weeks later, but such a neat couple and such a neat story. And that's what this whole Vernon Overland Connect thing, I think, is everybody bonding over vehicles, but also bonding over stories. I could sit there and talk to them forever. And then there's all kinds of other people that we all have stories and everybody's excited to share them. So I think that's one of the really neat things that there's some pretty cool vehicles, but there's some pretty cool people as well.
Josh cuts both Andrew's hair and my hair. That's all we talk about when we're getting our haircuts.
And that was why we wanted to change the name to be a little more connecting. So the Vernon Meet and Greet has a bit of a ring to it, but the whole Connect Avenue was really about that whole connecting the group.
It was funny. I was actually going to shoot him a text and see if he's bringing his stuff, see if I can get a haircut at the event. And beard trim. That's not me. But there's all kinds of other vehicles from that stock style Land Cruisers, and it's just last year there was a Dodge with a flat deck and a camper on behind, and just a whole bunch of different vehicles. To me, I really enjoy that. It's not just a Jeep love fest or a Tacoma makeout session. It's a whole variety of vehicle.
For sure. Well, like last year, it's at Toyota, and the Toyota dealership is open, and customers are coming in, and they had actually there was a couple, an older couple. I should say that and look at how gray I am, and I'm 53. But they came over and they just bought a Tacoma, and they were just enthralled by all these vehicles, and they're climbing up ladders into our tents, and they were very interested in, because they want to go camping, not necessarily going off into the bush, but they like this setup because they don't need to tow a trailer and all that. So that's how new to the community you can be. Just show up and come talk and eat waffles and stuff like that.
And they ended up being repeat visitors too, because they came by the third year and they reminded me who they were, because they were really excited to see what changes to all the different vehicles.
And that's one thing about overlanding. Everybody has a different terminology for overlanding, but to me, overland is a real broad thing because we all have our own reasons for it. I'm huge into kayaking, and you might be huge into mountain biking or whatever. And that's one thing about the overland community is there's so many different people. They might have a rooftop tent, but they're doing all these other kinds of things. And I think a lot of those other things help bring these new people into the sport.
So I guess vendors, do you have a running list so far of list of vendors that would be attending that people can go see and check out?
Yes, we do. We are currently at 12, 13 guys.
12 vendors. Yeah.
12 vendors. Yes, so that's 12 are registered and paid for vendors that will be on the event.
And starring Gear for Overland out of Red Deer.
Yes.
Yes, we've got over the top racks out of Kelowna. We got Adams Off Road actually coming up from, I believe, they're Surrey or Langley, the Lower Mainland.
Langley.
Goso Cookware is going to be joining us. Obviously, Gear for Overland. We got Onyx Off Road that's going to have a booth there. Vernon Capit, 97 Customs, Summit Expedition Trucks. They're out of Edmonton, North Edmonton. And then the B Corps Overland Rally, the new owners have taken over that place, so that up their event. So now they're coming out to get a little more face time and communicating to the group. MC Ranch is another vendor, and then JPEZ Welding, and they do also custom flat decks as well.
So I was just going to say, very curated list. We had a goal of 6 or 7 vendors. It's the first time we've had, like, where we're selling for really low price vendor space in one day. And we thought 6 or 7 would be nice. And then we can have some funds to do signage and put it all back into the event. And then next thing you know, we've got 12 and we're trying to figure out, okay, how are we going to space them out and everything? And it's excellent. And a lot of them we've got relationships with as well. Summit, we've seen Andrew's truck on Instagram. That's a Summit canopy and Summit tray, and obviously lots of quick pitch awnings, and Aubrey is part of the organizing team. So it's cool to see how it's evolved over the 3 or 4 years to this point. Still keeping it a one-day event, but just bringing a little more value for people that come in and see. And it's beginning of the season too, which is also good.
That's a really neat part about it being the beginning of season, because it's the first time a lot of people are getting a chance to get together. They may have been out in their area, whether you're Vernon or you're Kamloops or Kelowna or whatever, but a lot of us haven't really gotten together. And this usually is the first time that a bunch of people get together, whether they're from the coast or wherever, from Alberta. But that's one thing that I think is really neat about being the first event of the year. And then, of course, we have the waffles. Let's talk about waffles. Who doesn't love waffles?
Yeah, the Week of Waffles is going to be back for the 3rd year. I think it's one of the events that they really like. Can't go wrong. Mike and I were talking about the other day. They're pretty busy. People go back for repeat deals. I know I did once. But it's true. They got all kinds of stuff from sweet to savory, and you can't go wrong with chicken and waffles. That's one of the better things I've ever had. They're excited. We're excited to have them back again too.
They have such good waffles. They're called Wicked Waffles for a reason. But yeah, and you can't be by their truck and not smell the waffles as well too. It's, oh my God, I'm going to gain 20 pounds this weekend.
Planning there. You're awesome. Like, I've seen them in like our market days, and they remember, hey Mike, how you doing? We're looking forward to coming next year. And I usually check in with them throughout the day. Like, how's it going? I want to make sure it's worth their while too to be there. Each year they've been there. So they've been there for 2 years. It's been a good day for them and selling waffles, and Overlanders like food, right?
Totally. And that's the other thing I was just going to bring up. If there's not waffles being cooked, there's other stuff happening, right? Especially the after event, which I don't know if you guys want to get into, but some of us go up into the mountain and camp, and I just walk from campsite to campsite, and there's my meal, because typical Overlanders, we love to cook. We love to show off our cooking skills and all that. And you just walk from campsite to campsite, and you're full by the end of it.
And you were over there with Dwayne. So
Who the hell brings a smoker with them camping, right? To smoke up some brisket. But yeah, no, it's definitely a fun time. And we all know Overlanders love cooking. Speaking of cooking, Aubrey, I know you've got some really good product with Gear for Overland, with your square pots, as well as the stoves and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of really neat equipment on display and available for sale for people to look at and try out.
Yeah, that was one of the reasons why we also decided to expand. And just give back to the community, show them what's out there, get the products in their hand, in front of them. They can even test it. If you just mentioned what's on the mountains, we'll be using the equipment, testing products, using the stoves. So it's just giving back to the community and showing them what is available for them to use in their future boats.
Are you bringing anything new and exciting to the event, Aubrey?
Therefore, it can be.
Fair enough.
So we have a bunch of different things happening where we're going to be doing some raffles and draws, and so there's really some neat giveaways, neat products. Definitely
cool.
Available.
If you guys are having a bikini contest, I'm in if you want. And I have no shame.
The holding points.
You don't want to see that vision.
Trust me.
Any product? You never know what I might do.
You know, I'm a crazy animal lover. Okay, so at your event, do people bring their dogs or cats? It could be a dog, could be anything, but do people bring their pets?
Yeah, so pets are welcome. Most of the time, you're going to see dogs, but I think we might see one cat this year. You never know. I know one floating around with an Instagram account that might join us. But absolutely, dogs are welcome. All we ask is that they are not dog reactive. If they are, make sure you've got a muzzle, or all dogs need to be on a leash, right? We want to make sure there's no issues with the patrons, with the dogs, with the vendors, with everybody there. Just be mindful of that, but definitely dogs are more than welcome.
Do the kids have to be on leashes as well?
That was a parental decision.
He's a busy road there you can play on.
So speaking of dogs, that was the first time last year I met Barrett, the Overland dog. Check him out on Instagram, guys. One of the coolest dogs ever. We had him on the podcast last year as well, too. But there's lots of cool dogs wandering around there. And as Andrew mentioned, just as long as they're on a leash and you're good. So,
yeah, Barrett will be making an appearance for sure.
I had to get it out of the camper steps just so I could teach my dog to get into the Thames. Like Barrett. And she did it. She did it. First round. Oh, I loved it. Can't get her on the tap.
That's awesome. See, you need to get a vendor there with dog-related stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
All the bowls and different foods and stuff like that. Something to think about for next year.
Absolutely. We had a bit of a targeted approach to the vendors this year. Obviously, with being a limited space, we were thinking about who we really wanted to pursue. That's really related to the overland scene. And I think we've got a really good mix. But yeah, you're right. I think there's definitely opportunities for maybe a few more vendors next year. We're just got to see how it plays out this year. And looking at a bit of a different avenue too, more of maybe a sports and recreation approach to like bikes, even like I'm an overlander, but I have an e-bike. And so we set up the camper and you hop on the e-bike and go for a pedal in the mountains. It's pretty cool.
It's cool.
Yeah, I think as we're seeing a lot of crossovers with people doing other sports, say you mentioned earlier, whether it be mountain biking or kayaking or stand-up paddle boards. And I think that there's a lot of people that all those overlanders do other stuff for the most part, even if it's hiking or whatever. Yeah, I think it's really neat seeing what people have on their vehicles and how I can adapt that to mine, how they pack a kayak or how they store all their bikes when they're going overland. And that's one of the neat things about checking out all these different vehicles.
Yeah, actually, Overtop Racks is very specific with bike racks. That's what their bread and butter is. They really focus on accessories for bikes too. That's a neat option you see.
For sure. What is some of the things that you guys are personally excited to see at the Vernon Overland Connect this year?
For me, the growth and the community coming together. For us, that was the goal. The initial goal is to get the community together. He will show people what's out there. And as you mentioned, one of my favorite pastimes that I've been to many expos and big events, but walking with crowds can bring a lot of my favorite things to learn. Just to see what people with a budget do on their vehicles. It's easy if you have a unlimited budget, you can just snap on everything you need and want. But if you have a budget and you make it work according to your needs and where you want to go, that's one of the neat things to me, to just walk around and see how people get on their vehicles and the initiative and creativity the people who on their vehicles.
I'd agree 100% with Aubrey. Like, just seeing the growth is exciting, and I think it's pretty cool. There's a couple things. One, when I listen to your podcasts, you mention it at least 50% of your podcast that have to do with the overlanding guests, whether it's because you met them at our Overland Connect or however, but you bring it up and really appreciate that because even in October, it's getting some airtime, which is great. And then, just seeing people excited. Like, when is the next one? Like, we've got a lot of people that are coming back again for the third and fourth year, and they're asking, when is it? And what can I do to help? It's just, that's the community. And new people come with them, and we've got some new local people. And that's the excitement for me, is just seeing all that continue to come together.
To me, we're doing something a little bit different this year. We're bringing in not only vendors, but we're also bringing in a nonprofit. We've invited Okanagan Forest Task Force to come out, and their primary focus is cleaning up the backcountry and taking care of being ambassadors of our habitat and our environment around us, right? They take care of the backcountry. Really wanted to get a focus on that educational piece, have them set up so they can communicate what they do to people and get the word out that they can volunteer and help, support and donate. That was a very exciting thing for me.
That's an excellent point. I didn't realize that you guys are working with them, and I think they're a great organization. And I think the more exposure that we can help give them is definitely an added bonus for sure. Now, you've got people coming from all over the place. Of course, Vernon, and but the whole Okanagan and Lower Mainland people are coming. You got people coming from Alberta and Saskatchewan and that. And I know Ralph is coming down from Summit, from Edmonton. Where's your farthest coming from this year? Do you know?
Look, Trisha, you're in Ontario. You could do it in just under 2 days. I've done it. You just sleep in, you sleep in the rest stops and you could road. I think our farthest is going to be Amanda and Sean.
Yeah.
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 And that's the Mountains and Memories on Instagram. Yeah. And yeah, they're just over the border in Saskatchewan. So yeah, that's a long haul for sure. I know there's a number of people coming up from the coast as well. And we mentioned Dwayne from Just Eat Ventures. He's planning on coming up. And I know a few other people they're planning on as well too. The people that are coming these long distances are repeat people. They've been coming back the last couple of years. And obviously it's such a fun event that they are having so much fun there that they're making a point to return. You take a couple of days off to get there and return each year. So that says something to about the event as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Is there anything that we missed that you guys wanted to mention or talk about?
I think we just wanted to make sure that we did a shout out to Vernon Toyota. Again, they've been really easy to work with from the first year that we went there. So this will be our third year there. Linnea, who does all of their marketing, we just kind of work through her and she works with the team at Vernon Toyota. Pretty much we've suggested a lot of stuff and they're pretty easygoing and kind of adapting and making things work for us. And it's greatly appreciated because to have some place like so central, high profile corner in Vernon, it's hard to find that space. So they've been great. And it's also awesome because they're getting even a little bit more involved this year they've got some cool stuff that they're going to add to the giveaways. Yeah. Like we said, hey, let's get you involved some more. And they're totally into it. We were wishing we could have a trail hunter or something, maybe a 4Runner trail hunter up on the stand, but those are hard to come by up here. I'm going to order one, West.
Yeah.
We also thought about last year, like with the growth we've seen, we sat down with Aubrey and Mike and I and a few others. We talked about, do we want to keep it here? Do we want to expand it? Do we want to make it a weekend event? We talked about a little bit of the logistics side of it and obviously becoming a more organized event versus just having everyone show up like we did in the past. We ended up thinking that the one-day event makes a lot of sense for us, and being in such a high-profile location, it's a good area. It's got a lot of sight lines, a lot of people passing through, and it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I've organized events like this in the past, and hats off to you guys. I know how much hard work goes behind the scenes and how much even the day of and the day after, all that just, I know so much work goes into it, and I know you guys got a good crew there. So hats off to you guys for putting the effort in because it is a lot of work and people don't realize how much work goes into these events.
It is. And I think keeping it to the one day, and we were talking about this in our walk around the parking lot last night, mapping it out, that you underestimate it about how all the little things that you need to do. So all of a sudden, if you multiple days and you're further out of town, then now you need a bigger team, you need volunteers, you need stuff like that. I'm organizing 2 events for work that happened the 2 weeks prior to this event. Literally, I'm flying back from Edmonton on the Thursday, and then Friday is Friday night. But yeah, it takes a lot of organizing, and it's been great with Andrew and Rachel. Rachel is Andrew's wife, for those that don't know, and they've been like, they're very organized.
You don't look like it. I'm looking very organized. We're organized.
The biggest thing with an event like this is to look organized, and behind the screen, you're freaking the hell out. But to everybody else, it looks like it's running smoothly. And that's, yeah, you guys are doing a wonderful job.
Up here. Thanks for that.
One of the other things we wanted to mention too was with it being a registered event, the gates open at 10 o'clock. We're hoping to start seeing some people flow in around 9:30ish. That's going to give us a bit of time because there's going to be a registration booth for anyone that's got a vehicle. They got to meet my wife, Rachel. She's going to give them their start sheet, and then they're going to be marshaled into an area with a bunch of volunteers laying that out and keep people in line and trying to be as efficient as possible with getting people placed. Yeah, if you're listening, try to show up around 9:30, 9:45. That'll give us a bit of an advantage. Appreciate that.
Might be late.
And be patient because it's our first time doing it. So I'm sure there'll be some fun things happening that people aren't going to be too thrilled about. But we'll work through it as a team. It's all good.
There's one way to learn, right?
That's right. All pretty.
I probably won't be showing up until 10:30 or 11, unfortunately, myself. And that's why I opted out of putting my vehicle on display. I've got a thing happening Friday night and very early Saturday morning. But I will be there, and I will be wearing the 4x4 Canada podcast shirt. So to our listeners, if you do see me wandering around, definitely shout out and say hi. And I know Trisha and I love going to these events and meeting our listeners. And not just meeting them. A lot of these people, we've made relationships over the years. And we definitely appreciate everyone that does listen. And we love talking to all our listeners. So if you see me, give me a shout out and buy me a beer. Oh, no, there's no beer there.
It's Saturday.
Buy me some waffles, goddammit.
We feed you at the camp that night there.
There we go. But yeah, I will be there and wearing the 4x4 Canada podcast shirt. So definitely looking forward to it. I had so much fun. The last year especially was really good. It was just nice and chill and relax. And you go to some of these larger events, and we've all been to these larger events, and it's just a lot of times you're running around or you just don't really get a chance to really relax on some of these events. And that's one thing I do enjoy about the Vernon Overland Connect event for sure.
I think that was one of our big goals too, right? If most of us have been to the big events, and it's as fantastic as it is, you're exhausted afterwards, right? Just attending events like the Pacific Northwest, for example, there's 25,000 people. That's not a relaxing event, but it is an awesome event.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. So both of you guys, I should say both of you guys, Andrew and Mike, you two had some major changes over the last year in regards to your vehicles. Mike, you realized what Jeep stands for just after your reclocking.
Well, yeah, really tomorrow Chevy. Oh, yes.
But yeah, you've made the change. You grew up and you bought a Chevrolet, and so you got a little ZR2 Bison, right?
Yeah. We did that last October. It was Ferris is right on the wall there behind me, driving in Baja.
That's I'm excited to see that one. You got the Onyx wrap on it, and I haven't seen it yet in person, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, and just taking my time. And the Jeep was definitely purpose built, right? It was, in the back seats and kitchen back there, very organized. I miss the organized part of it, of just getting there, opening up the kitchen. Like, that's hard to get used to not having that. But I also wanted the truck to be able to, like, this weekend do dump runs or get 10 stitches while I take the kitchen out of the back of the Jeep so I can use it. Yeah, it's been fun. The Chevy's been pretty awesome. Yeah. I also was influenced by a friend.
And then Andrew, you, speaking of organized, you've gone another notch above what your vehicle was last year. You had the Pacific camper on last year, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had the Super Pacific USA canopy camper on last year, which was great. And we still love it, and we're still friends with them. We still communicate, but we outgrew it, I think, to be honest. And so we went from one extreme to another, and we're still figuring our way through it. We've got some things we've put inside it now where we're starting to get used to where everything's at. And the whole goal with the build for us, very purpose built, like Mike's Jeep, was to have everything that has a home. It doesn't have to leave it. It stays in there. Pack your clothes, pack your food, pack your bedding, and you're gone. That's kind of what the build is all
so
about.
For our listeners that don't realize, Andrew's running a Toyota Tacoma, and he's got the Summit Overland flat deck on it with the canopy and that this year. And we did an interview with you back late fall, I think it was last year. And so definitely recommend our listeners go back and listen to that, because it's a fun little build. And I'm looking forward to seeing that in person with all the changes that you've made.
I've been told I'm not allowed to enter the Best in Show. So we will keep having girls, but I don't know. If we'll have to get a vote. Does he rigged?
And then Aubrey, you are running Toyotas all the time, right?
Yes.
What are you bringing down to the event?
No, I'll give it my full run here at the Bandra. Also, the summer edition of the Canada. I think aerosol. Well, canopy that built. It is appropriately built for me and my family. All the thing is inside. And I use it as my show or display at all people. It's all the partners that you sell. They tell me in that vehicle as well.
yeah, looking forward to seeing that one again. Always enjoy that rig for sure.
I realized that we didn't mention your Instagram because you guys do have a Vernon Overland Connect Instagram, and then where people want to go to register.
Yeah, we started an Instagram page called the Vernon Overland Connect. You can look it up there. It's going to be short term as a VOC, but it's Vernon Overland Connect on Instagram. We also have an email address, and it's Vernon Overland Connect at outlook.com. And that's where people can email us for information about registry, or they can reach out to us on Instagram as well. My wife, Rachel, runs the page, and then my page and her other personal page. So she's pretty busy. She's pretty efficient with it. And she likes to take the good photo. But yeah, you can reach out to us on Instagram, Vernon Overland Connect, for the event.
Awesome, guys. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to talk with us tonight. I am really looking forward to this event, Saturday, June 7th in Vernon, British Columbia. And just a heads up to our listeners, we got some really neat episodes coming up. We have Dave from Yucatec Campers, Blind Man Overland. He is not blind. We did discuss that on the episode. He is not blind, but Dave from Blind Man Overland. And we also have Clayton and Stephanie coming up from Skyward Overland. They're going to have both of their rigs at the Vernon Overland Connect event there. They've got a Gladiator and a JKU with a wild wraps on them. They two great looking vehicles. Looking forward to seeing those guys as well. And we've also, in the not too distant future, we got some race trucks coming up. We got some tractor pulling interviews coming up. So definitely stick around and listen to these upcoming events. We did go to our episodes to every 2 weeks instead of weekly, just so that Trisha and I can enjoy the summer a bit. We both have a lot of stuff going on work-wise and personal-wise, and we decided that we need to step it back just a little bit and just to enjoy the summer with our family and friends. So we're going to every 2 weeks, and we might go back to every week in the fall, but we just want to relax a little bit more. So once again, thanks, guys. I really appreciate you coming on board.
So the last question we ask every guest is, what Canadian would you like to hear on the 4x4 Canada podcast?
Let's go Mike, and then I'll go, and then Aubrey. We'll get three, though.
No, yeah, there's three of us. We get three people. So I believe when you had me on, I might have said you should have Aubrey on. Now Aubrey's on, but I don't know if it counts. But yeah, that's who I would suggest if Aubrey wasn't here.
I agree. Aubrey, we got to get you on. I know you and I have talked about it before, but we got to get you on because I think that you've got a wealth of knowledge, and I'd love your story from you growing up in South Africa. And I want to hear all about that. And I'm sure our listeners do. And then how you've ended up in the godforsaken red deer coming from South Africa, right? And you're going from one extreme to another, hot weather versus red deer. I'm really interested in your story. I love your story, and I really want to get you on the podcast.
Let's do that.
We'll talk in the next couple of weeks here and get you on.
Yes. And like one of the people I'd like to see on is Squatch Overland, Andre, the big friendly gyre. We met him at one of these kind of events, right? Mike actually was the first to bump into him. And Mike, I don't know if you want to talk to that at all, but yeah, he's a great dude, got a great story. He's got a merch line that's really good. It's really promotes the Get Out kind of brand. So that's what it is. It's Get Out, big writing on the hats. Be really good to have him on for sure.
He is the perfect someone on Instagram.
Definitely.
And then, so we're at AOA, and I'm walking across to the porta potties, and this guy in his black Jeep comes driving up, and he's, "Oh, get on in overlanding." And I'm like, "Oh, it's Squatch Overland." And he hasn't been out of his Jeep yet. And so I'm like, "Come camp with us." So you got to know him and his wife, and now we can't get rid of him. He's with us everywhere now. He's an awesome. It's one of the nicest people that you'll ever meet, for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I would like
I agree.
97 customs.
Yeah, Kelvin, for our listeners that don't know, he has 97 Customs out of Vernon, and he does van interior conversions, and as well as other stuff as well. But that's his big thing, and does beautiful work. And he's got some really interesting stories from his bike days and stuff like that, right? Really interesting guy. Love sitting around the campfire with a beer in hand or whiskey in hand, talking with him because he's got some great stories as well too. All great suggestions, guys. These are guys that have been meaning to get on, but I just haven't yet.
The one other person I do want to actually mention, just because it was someone I've been thinking about for a while now, is maybe getting the Okanagan Forest Task Force on. Kane is the lead guy over there and seems like a really great guy, and definitely a lot of information to share there too.
So maybe for our listeners that aren't aware, what is the Okanagan Task Force?
Well, I'll read you what they are. I got their website up right here.
Okay, we will.
I don't want to mess it up. Basically, they're a force that was formed back in August 2016 by a group of outdoor enthusiasts who are concerned about the overwhelming kind of epidemic with the illegal dumping in the backcountry and the recreational areas and the waterways. So they put together a group that goes out and cleans up what they can find. They have an app where you could report garbage dumping and they'll go out and clean it up. So real good ambassadors for the backcountry.
Definitely. And are they going to be at the event as well?
They will be there. Yeah, they're a nonprofit. Yeah.
Yep. Beautiful. Once again, when we were talking with the organizers from the Vernon Overland Connect event coming up on Saturday, June 7th in beautiful downtown Vernon, British Columbia. And it's such a fun event. I am so looking forward to this and really appreciate you guys coming on tonight and talking about it. And really looking forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Registration closes May 15th. So reach out if you want to get registered.
Yep. Vernon Overland Connect on Instagram. Check them out. Subscribe or whatever you do on Instagram and follow along. And I'm sure for the people that cannot attend, you guys are going to have stuff posting up the day of and especially the day after. So is there a hashtag that people can follow that people should be doing?
Let's start one. POC.
Yeah, there we go. VOC 2025.
VOC 2025.
There we go.
We got it right there.
Perfect. Awesome, guys. I really appreciate you coming on tonight.
Thanks, everybody.
Great being here. Thanks a lot.